profit points, and today we're looking at the capital market, which is stock market as usual, and also the second segment looking at the staff welfare of organization, how organizations organize their staff welfare, and also how they recruit. On that note, we are welcome to this profit point today, and we are looking at the stock market, and we are starting like what the market did yesterday on Wednesday, because we are reviewing yesterday to give you a clue to what is going to happen today in the market. I will start by looking at what we call the market data. The all-share index opened at 38,705.81, and it closed at 39,085.80. And I'll tell you, the market gained 0.9%, which is huge for a day. It tells you that the market is gradually breathing out after the MPC meeting on Tuesday. And you know, at the MPC meeting, the CBN and his team, they voted for the retain of the rates, which is very good for investors. We are today that this rate should be retained, while other school of thought were saying that because of high inflation rate, they should adjust interest. But you know, on the wisdom of the members, they're able to vote to retain what? To retain rate. That means they want to see the economic recovery, how it will go before the next MPC meeting, which is good for the market. Then the volume of deal was 361.9 million shares, worth 5.7 billion naira. It tells you that funds really entered the market yesterday. And the top trade for yesterday were Union Bank of Nigeria, Guarantee Trust Bank, Veterans Insurance, Eco Medical, and the Zenith Bank. These are the top traders for yesterday. And I'll tell you, if you see the volume of transaction in Union Bank of Nigeria, it tells you something is happening in that bank. And you can see that this bank, in their last year audited result that was ended December 2020, they paid 25 kobo dividend against the last year 2019-25. It tells that investors are looking the way of Union Bank. And also in the market, there's a rumor that Union Bank may likely acquire or merge in one for now. That's why if you see this kind of volume for almost a month now, it tells that there's something happening in Union Bank that investors should also put their eyes on. And also, if you look at the volume traded in GTB, which is a Guarantee Trust Bank, 72 million shares were traded there. And that tells you that investors also are looking at something there. And this is the bank that declared 270 kobo final dividend against 250 kobo in the previous year. Accumulative dividend now become 3 naira for the year 2020, which delights investor. You know, before now, that was the week before this week, the market, as I tell you, investors were nervous. Why are they nervous? Because UBA came to the market with a dividend cut from 80 kobo to 35 kobo. That alone shook the market for the previous week. But the result of GTB coming to the market and that of Union Bank and others that came to the market yesterday changed the market sentiment, and we saw a lot of activities among the blue chip stocks. It tells you that investors are gradually now coming out of their shade, out of panic, trying to see that there is a lot of potential in the market. And you know, before now, if you look at the market performance previous week and from Monday to yesterday, a kind of a mixed performance, just as a result of the rising yield in the fixed income market. But investors are saying that these earnings that are coming from the company, there's a lot of surprises and also missed dividend news. They are not taking position in that line. And that is the market yesterday was up powerfully. And if you look at the sectoral performance index, banking sector had just a marginal performance, flat performance, 0.21, but the food and beverages, which is the consumer goods, had a good performance, about 0.7%, which is the highest for the day. Activities there was, the people are taking position in Unilever and others in that sector, stock like Guinness, stock like national salt. That made the market yesterday for that sector to look up, and also followed by industrial goods. Industrial goods also closed positive, 0.65, which is also good because people are taking position in stock like Dangote Cement and that of and others in that sector. And don't forget that Dangote Cement declared a dividend of 16 naira against what they did in previous year. That alone also is attracting activity. And when we come to the earnings session of this presentation, you now see that the numbers that came from Dangote Cement was beyond expectation. Despite that the dividend was still flat compared to what they did in previous year. The numbers I will tell you is one of the best numbers I've seen so far in the last 2 weeks that what have been, been released to the market. It tells you that the company is really setting out well, especially now that we are seeing that the government has also, kind of inch up their expenditure for capital expenditure for this 2021 budget. And not only that, if you remember what happened in the last quarter of 2020, the prices of cement were up. I will tell you to ramp up all the cement industry. That alone will also, favor Dangote and other in that sector. Then insurance sector was down 0.65. They took profit in that sector. You see that when we discuss the top gainers and losers, people took profit from stock like name insurance and others that really put down the insurance. But if you look at the oil and gas, which is the energy sector, you can see that there are a lot of activity there too. Why? I will tell you that if you look at what is happening in the economy as we speak now, you can see that the continual increase in the fuel price also is a plus for that sector. Not only that, the oil price recovery, that's why it's oscillating now. Got into $71, came down to around $58, going back again around $60. It tells you that there are some companies in that sector that will benefit from it. You can see that there's improved activities in that sector. You as an investor should be guided where to put your fund as we speak now. Then as we look at the top gainers for yesterday, you see stock like a Stanbic IBTC topping the gainer chart with 9.99%. That is almost 10%, which is the maximum market stock can gain in a day. And that is good for Stanbic IBTC. Why is it for Stanbic IBTC? Because this is a company, a bank that got released is audited result to the market, and this result delights investors. Very brilliant result, I'll tell you. Very brilliant result. This result came with a dividend of 360 kobo and a bonus share of 146 for those investors that have their name in the book of the bank till end of June to qualify for the bonus. But for you to qualify for the dividend, just around the April 7, if your name is there, you qualify for the bonus. On that note, that stock look attractive for especially long-term investors. For traders, you might see that the price is already up, but for those that are investing for long-term, they are looking for where to get more shares, you can go for it. And those that want to take dividend, it's a good one. Another stock there on the top 5 gainers are Police Microfinance. And I believe followers on this program, we discussed about 3 weeks ago on this program that this company is one of the micro bank that is listed on the exchange. Not only that, they are different themselves because of what their consistent dividend payout to investor, and that investor also looking forward for another dividend for the year ended 2020. On that, you can see activities on Monday, the stock gain on Monday, gain on Tuesday and yesterday, and also for me, it's a good one for investor. And the stock gain 9.6% for a day. It moved from 177 kobo to 194 kobo just in a day. It tells you that investors are looking for value are repositioning in the dividend stock. Also consider stock like Cornerstone that also gained 8.9% for me. It's a very good one. And followed by Guinness. And this is why you saw that the consumer goods index was up just because those investors taking activity in stock like Guinness, Unilever, and that really impacted on that sector. For me, it's a good one for investors. And don't forget that Owando was among the 5 top gainers. And you ask yourself, why Owando is there? Owando is there because of the nature of Owando business. Owando is into crude oil business, it's into also oil marketing. And for me, I would say Owando price is low. And just because investors are also not too confident in Owando because of what they release their number and the kind of activities they kind of relief to investors. Today you see Owando first quarter looking positive. At the end of third quarter, the number will turn negative. On that note, investors are worried about Owando. But because they are seeing that there is improvement in that sector, in terms of crude oil price is coming up, and also increasing oil pump price in Nigeria, yes, it will affect the economy like the way it's affecting the inflation now as we are seeing. But there are some sectors that will benefit from such a increment, and that will impact on their margin at the end of the day, which I know Owando is one of them. That is why investors are taking advantage of the low price in Owando to position in it now. But we now go to the flip side. On the flip side, we look at the top losers. Top losers consider stock like Miss Oil. Miss Oil is the leader on the loser start for yesterday. It lost 9.70%. And this oil company was into marketing. But because dividend in that company is not consistent, investors are looking that they might not pay dividend. On that, they are already sharing what investment their investment they are already the investment in this oil. For me, that is not a bad decision because you need to only reposition your portfolio for them. And also stock like correlation insurance also lost 9.09, which is normal. Investors are taking profit; they go in and out on it. On that note, I expect that investors will also come back in because they are doing what in and out of the stock. Followed by Africa Prudential. Africa Prudential also lost about 5.44%, and also livestock. But livestock is going down for me is attractive for investors that know what they are doing in the market, because if you consider the sector livestock is operating, it's a sector that the government is interested. And not only that, we want to feed our nation, we want to feed Nigerians. That means for you as an investor, you need to position where you know the business model is right, and that business model can support a better number. For me, you can see what happened in the company for the year 2020. From their first quarter to the last quarter, the full year, the company did well. For that, as an investor, you see the price coming down. If you are those that are traders, you can also consider to jump into what livestock. But also, yesterday, when Lafarge Africa announced the result for 2020, they paid their $1 flat, just the way they paid in 2019. Investors also reacted, funny to it. But I think many of them that called me that you don't need to add the way people are selling now, because the number released by Lafarge was impressive, and only that the dividend they paid was not commensurate to what people were expecting. It was below market expectation. But still that they should also pay like above $1, which they did in 2019. On that alone, I think that is right. But for me, investors should not panic on Lafarge or Waco. Depends what you call it. There's good result from that company, and that will be sustained in this year. For me, the pullback in price is also an opportunity for long-term investors to take position, for traders also to take advantage of the pullback in the price. That is for market review. Then go to the earnings session. Yeah, welcome back to the earnings session of the stock market review. We're looking at the GTB result that was released during the week. GTB released their full year results. I think I told you earlier that it was part of what impacted the volume we are seeing in GTB activities. I want to look at this number to see how good this number is, and I'll tell you, GTB number for me is a flat number, and this is a reflection of the COVID-19 year for the financial sector. I will tell you that sector really struggled, and Nigerian banks have shown that they are resilient despite the COVID-19. They were able to grow their dividend. The ones that do that, especially Zenith Bank and the GTB, it's a thumb up for the two banks for keeping investors, delight with growing their dividend with 20 kobo, which is nice for me. If you look at the number that came from GTB for the financial year ended 2020, the top line of which is the gross earning grew by just 4.58%. It moved from 435.31 billion to 455.23 billion, in terms of gross earning, which is good. And the profit after tax, which is what investors are interested in. The profit after tax, that means after you have deducted all your expenses, all your non-performing loan, all your tax, what remains that investor will benefit. And at the end of the day, investor will be shared the dividend. That is why every investor, when you see results, you first of all look at what is the earning per share. You know that earning per share will determine what will come to him as an investor. For GTB for 2020, they grew their profit after tax with just marginal 2.33%, which is also not too good, because this number will tell you in North Standard it didn't meet our own standard and even international standard in terms of top line and bottom line. But because we are considering where they are coming from, the year 2020 is pardonable, and their EPS moved from 6 naira 69 kobo to 6 naira 84 kobo, and they paid a dividend of 2 naira 70 kobo against 2 naira 50 kobo. That is good, and that's also changed the face of the market. That is for GTB. But the good thing GTB that I will say again, that GTB, I will tell you, in terms of efficiency, these are the most efficient bank on the exchange, because every 1 naira gross earning they make, they retain 44 kobo as a profit, which is good. Yes, you can join us on this program by calling in the number on the screen for any question on the equity market. We are ready to also to share with you, and we also contribute to the program. And also we are looking at UBN, which is a Union Bank of Nigeria. Full year, I said earlier, also announced their full year for the period ended 2020. And their gross earning was also down, marginally down, was down because they dropped from 166.55 to 160.29 billion. That drop tells you that, to reflect also what is happening there in the economy, which we know is globally, not only Nigeria for the year 2020. But we are seeing a sign that the gradual recovery we are seeing in the economy this year, the financial sector and others are likely to benefit from the economic recovery. Then the profit after tax for the period also was down by 6.05%. It dropped from 19.8 billion to 18.67 billion. EPS of 0.68 towards 0.64, and a dividend of 25 kobo against what they paid in 2019. For me, this is not a bad number. Also, considering where we are coming as a nation and also as an economy, that 2020 was just a bad year for both the economy and which we entered recession at the second quarter, which we came out at the last quarter. But that also reflected on the bank's performance, which but most of the bank were able to suit the headwind and also release a good number. For me, it's a good one. But the brilliant number result, not in terms of performance, in terms of number, but in terms of payout, that of Stanbic IBTC. IBTC declared a dividend of 3 naira 60 kobo and 146 bonus, which is good and encouraging. I will start from the top line of Stanbic IBTC. They grew their gross earning just marginally, 0.27. I'll tell you that is a flat number. And the profit after tax was up by 10.90 from 75.04 billion to 83.21 billion naira for the year under review. And their EPS was up from 7 naira 14 kobo to 7 naira 49 kobo. And a dividend of 3 naira 60 kobo was declared, and 146 bonus from these earnings. For me, the dividend news or dividend declared is better for investor, and that moved the price from almost 44 naira to 48 naira 45 kobo, and that is the 52-week high for this period for Stanbic. It's a good one. Investors, especially that are thinking long, cannot look the way of Stanbic, but for trader, for me, the price is already up, or less, because for you to benefit for this bonus, you have to wait till end of around the 10th of June to qualify for the bonus. But for the dividend, I've said earlier, you will be qualifying at the end of by April 7 for you to qualify for the 3 naira 60 kobo. Why for the bonus? You have to wait for until it gets to June. Then also, we are looking at the result that came from the industrial goods. The industrial goods, I will tell you, this is the sector that will drive any economy at any time, because they will use to develop what infrastructure. And you know that any economy that's having infrastructure problem, growth will be what will be difficult. And that is why we are looking at the government considering, trying to reform some things and also look at the particular sector to drive the economy. And I believe on that note, this sector, the industrial goods, will also benefit from it. And look at the performance from this sector, the one that came from this sector, the one that came from, despite that of Boa is unaudited account, so the one that should that they perform well. The one that came from Lafarge, Africa, which is WAPU, is also another. But I will tell you that Dangote Cement result for me is very, very okay. And that result, I think, is a brilliant number. And this, for Dangote Cement, their full year result, revenue grew by what? 15.7%. And that is the standard anywhere in the world that your top line must grow with 15 plus. Some will say 10 plus, but for we investors, we believe that you must grow your what? Your gross earnings or your revenue or your sale or your turnover by what? By 15 and above. And which Dangote did for the year 2020. Their revenue was up from 891.64 billion to 1.03 trillion. And it's the first company in Nigeria to post a revenue of trillion in the market. And that is a plus for Dangote Cement for me. The first company in Nigeria to post a sales for a year, 1 trillion is good. And that's also reflected on their bottom line, which also moved by 37.68%. Is good for the company. The profit after tax moved from 200.52 billion to 276.07 billion for the period. Good one, and it's a brilliant growth for me. The top line was up more than 15%, and the bottom line was up more than 50%. That is a good number for Dangote Cement. And also the EPS for the period also moved from 11.77 to 16 naira 20 kobo. And out of that 16 naira 20 kobo, the company declared 16 naira as what? As dividend. And I believe those that followed me on Investigator, I will say that we need to be where the billionaires are. The billionaires, they want to live a lifestyle that they need money to support. I call them either smart money or whatever we call it. But look at, they pay nearly all their earnings for the year as dividend. Why? I will tell you that the shareholding structure of Dangote Cement favor the billionaires in Africa, in Nigeria, because they had about 84% of the worth of Dangote Cement. They are declaring your whole earnings about 16 naira 20 kobo as dividend. It's going to pay yourself more. And that is why, as a brilliant investor or a smart investor, be where the billionaires are, because look at when market crashed in 2008, 2008. All the stock price for all these stock that are being owned by these billionaires or the smart money, they sustain their price up. Not only that, they have grown so good their dividend within this period. Tells you that as an investor, you need to target where these billionaires are and stay there with them, because they would like to pay themselves big dividend, because they have chunk of the worth of the company. Something that having up to like from Dangote holding from about 87 or 86% of the company. Then pays 16 naira. Most of the money is coming back to him. And that's why every year we declare good dividends so that investor in that company was so smart. That's why you as an investor just follow the smart money, the billionaires, where they put their money. They go and look what's happening also in Boa. Boa also pays the same thing, because also he has a major share there. You can see only that in Waku, or foreign investor, which you see from the payment now, they have about 1 naira 91 kobo. They are paying just 1 naira. It's about 52% of their earnings. But for that of Dangote, almost 98% of his earnings is being paid as dividend. As an investor, you should look at the way of everything if you want to really get dividend on a yearly basis, that you expect that dividend will be consistent, because the lifestyle of these billionaires, the way that they want to support it, that is why they also want to do well and also pay investors very well. You can still join us by calling the number on the screen so that you can ask your question and also flow with you. Any question in the capital market, you are free to ask. These are for the numbers that emanated from the market as at yesterday. And on that note, investors should not panic, because these numbers are telling us that if you look at the yields from these companies on exchange, and the yield that people are saying that the rising yield in fixed income market is threatening the equity market, I see that the yields are already coming up, even the yield in a capital market moving faster, because it's a shorter period you are making on this morning. For me, I expect that investors should also take advantage of that. Yes, there is a call online, Mr. Adeni, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Please, I just have a question for you about that communication stocks. I bought it so many years ago. To date, I've not heard anything, hear anything about them. Nothing, no dividend, nothing, no news. What is going on with that communication?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I will answer the question quickly because investors also need to understand that you don't just invest and sleep or go to your bed and forget about your investment. Before you invest, you need to know what the company is into. When that communication came on board, it was the time they were planning to host one event, and they were using to market their rights issue at the public offer. Then people jump into it. I will tell you, since that day after the public offer to date, they have not paid a dividend to shareholder. Not only that, the price is selling below 50 kobo, and I will tell you the way it's going now, the stock may likely delist anywhere from now. But for me, investors should be very careful when they're choosing this kind of stock they want to invest. Look at stock that has a business model that supports the number. For me, that communication for investors that have invested their money, I will tell you, you have to wait for years before you can put your money. But if you are smart enough, just sell off your position in that stock, sell it off and move to another stock. The only fear I have that stock is not tradable as other stock. If you don't want to sell it today, you will pick it for you, because investors these days now have become wiser because of what investment education we are giving. Nobody wants to go and invest in such company like that communication as to speak now. Unless tomorrow they come out on that business model that will see that is viable before we start looking towards that company. For that, sir, you need to wait. But for me, I would look away from that company for now and think other company that you can put your money. For that communication, to take them a long way to recover from what we're seeing, because a company that listed for more than almost 6 years to 8 years now cannot pay your shareholder a dime. For me, there's no hope for now until you start seeing a light from the company. That's what I would advise. Just look away from the company. If you are possible that I can sell off, but I will tell you that there's no trade on that stock. Yes, as I was saying, that the dividend in the equity market is becoming attractive, and that will support the price of stock. And the good thing is that when I look at the money flow index as at yesterday, it has crossed 50 points. It tells you that funds are coming back to the equity market, but investors should also be very careful. Just like the man that got called now. Look at those fundamentally sound stocks and put your money. Don't just invest for investing sake. That's company that you understand the business model, the factors behind their numbers, that they are sure. Today, if you lay your hand on Dangote cement, you know what they're into. You can know that today cement price that moved from 2,000 to 2,500. So you know that there's something happening. If you look at Zenith Bank, look at GT Bank, see that even when we are in lockdown, people are still being transferred. These banks are still making money. And also now that we're seeing some improvement, in rates, these banks are still going to make more money. For me, look at factors that are behind companies' number before you don't just look at the name. No, the name will just deceive you. Look at the business model. Is this sustainable? People that are thinking, no, that is how to invest. Don't just jump into stuff. Or what we do, we educate you in invest data so that you invest wise and make your money at the right time. That's what we do, investor. Then we'll be drawing the curtain now for another section that we're going to the sectorial sector of the program any moment from now. Thank you. We are going to talk break now for the business review segment of the program any moment from now. Thank you.